My name's Amanda Berger. Most of you know me, some of you don't. I was born and raised here in Trinity County. I live in the property, in the house my parents built. I'm invested in this community. I love living here. I want to stay here. And this is something that's really impacted my quality of life. So I'm really glad that we're all coming together to talk about what our community wants. So I think that part of the purpose of this meeting is to inform everyone kind of with the same sort of information of what we know. So we're all on the same page. I'm curious about the goals of our community. I mean, we're all curious. I'm saying me, but I'm representing a number of us, probably all of us. I want to hear what our community wants and needs, and I want to identify the impacts that we've been feeling from the aggregate and the mining operation that's been happening on Red Hill Road for a number of years now. So that's kind of the gist of what we're going to do here tonight, as well as then create some action plan around what we can do to plug in, how we can participate. So can you think of anything else that we might want to, address tonight?
Well, one thing, it seems like there's a lot of unknowns, almost more unknowns than knowns, and I really appreciate Clint has joined us tonight, and he's not necessarily presenting, but he may be able to shed some light on things that are confusing. We know that our county is underfunded, under-resourced, and so sometimes certain things get lost in the mix. Sometimes certain things aren't caught up to date, and so for many of us, I can say for myself, I'm a full-time employee at Junction City School. I'm a parent of 2 children there, and I also sit on the school site council. And with that said, I do not represent the school. That is Christine Camara's job to do that. And so we received this document in the mail on the 21st, so last week, and to us, it was all very new. It all seemed like new activity, new production, new things that were alarming. And we called over to the planning department and said, are we at liberty to give this to our parents? Are we at liberty to give this to our board? And they said yes. And so one of the biggest questions that I have had from community members is, how could this just go through? How could this just happen? And why was I notified and this and that? And so I'll just tell you right now, the conditional use permit process is a long process, and we're at the very, very, very beginning stages of it. And so Colleen O'Sullivan is the point person on this. And she felt it necessary to reach out to some of the agencies that would be most impacted and or involved. And she didn't necessarily have to do that, but she knew it would be important. And so she wanted to get that process started as soon as possible. However, there's going to come a point as this goes forward that all of those of you that are, within 300 feet of the property line, you will get letters. There will be postings. It will go in the paper. There will be proper notice. And then there will be a public hearing. But that may not be until late summer or so, depending on how the process goes. So I just wanted to quell any fears as far as this is already, this is just done. It's a done deal and we can't do anything about it. And so it's all kind of hitting us like a ton of bricks. And I agree with Amanda. We just want to kind of share what we're all feeling, how we feel about it, and yeah, I think that's the gist of where we're at. And also I would like to say that in the front of the room, there is an email, phone list, and I would love for anybody to sign up on there with your preferred method of contact. As we get more information, as things come out, we'll keep everybody updated as much as we know and keep sharing that way so that we can all stay at the same level of know.
So what I was thinking we would do is Liz is going to explain a little more about her understanding of the actual proposal, and maybe Clint will be able to participate in that. And maybe once we set the big picture of it, I'd like to invite us to do some community sharing. This is an issue that a lot of emotions run high, and there's a lot to say about it and how it's been impacting our lives. So what I'm going to encourage is that we'll try to keep our comments down to 2 minutes apiece. State specifics, emotions get tied up into that. That's okay. But let's try to identify the impacts. Let's talk about how it's affecting us. and maybe our personal goals of what we would like to see with this, the outcome of what's going on in this operation, and just so we can kind of cover everybody and anybody who needs to speak. That's kind of what I was thinking. And then from that, as you guys are speaking, I'm going to make a list of the impacts and the goals and the things that pop up that seem to really matter for our community. And I encourage you to take a picture of it with your phone later, or whatever it is you do, that then we can create some action plans and help inform you how to contact the planning department and what you might want to say. And the more specific you get with the planning department, the better. So that's the idea. So is there any questions at this point? Okay. So Liz, do you want to talk about the proposal?
Well, and I'm going to invite Clint, and if you want to stop me, if you want to interject, please do, because we got, in the front of the room, we made just a very small handful of copies of what we received, right? So it has a narrative of the project. And granted, again, if you sign up on that list, you don't have a copy of it, or you missed them, or you want one, I'm happy to send you what I have. And so, as I said before, there's a lot more unknowns than knowns. And so, as we look through this narrative, and it talks about the project that's going to go on, it's really hard to tell what's already happening and what's going to happen, right? So we know that there's a rock crusher. We know that there's a cement batch plant. We know that there's 4.9 acres of mining that is potentially in operation or going to be, And so when I talked to Colleen O'Sullivan this morning, she wasn't quite sure. And the things that we've requested are, the original CUP to have an understanding. So for those of you who don't know, there was an original CUP that was approved back in November of 1997. So this is an amendment to that. And so it's just a little unclear as far as...
It's a revision.
All right, and so again, some of the wording, it says amendment. I don't know the difference between an amendment and a revision, but...
So the revision keeps all the sequence in that, keeps me from having to review all that.
Okay. All right, and so in chatting with Clint before this, one of the questions I had this morning with Colleen was, is there already a rock crusher? Is that already happening? And she wasn't sure, but Clint says that it's been there. It's already been there for a long time, for 17 years.
We've been crushing rock in there since 2000.
Right. So, with that said, I feel like, because there is a lot of, also another aspect of it is the truck trips. There's, 3 trucks coming in and out with a potential of an average of 24 truckloads a day on Red Hill Road. The hours of operation are during the times that our kids come and go to school. And so therefore we're on the roads and things like that. And I'm not sure how that will impact us going to and from and this and that. And in a conditional use process, one of the things that happens is they are going to take in all this information, right? They're going to talk to all the different agencies, and then the staff is going to form their opinion, their recommendation. They're going to give that recommendation. We're going to end up going to a public hearing in front of the commission where people can still come. If you haven't turned in written comments, I would advise you all to do as much as you can in writing, because as the summer goes on, it's easy to be connected right now, especially at the school. But as it goes on, it's easy to become disconnected, and we all have very busy lives and that kind of thing. And sometimes it's easier to get your thoughts down in writing, put that in, it's part of the public record. If you can't make it on the day, or if it slips by you and you don't know it, at least you know that your input is there, one way or another. And also, so we were given a deadline of June 7th for our written comments. And as far as I understand the stages right now from talking to Colleen, if you have, there's one thing to be said for your impacts and your statements. Put in your questions too, because those questions are going to spur on research for her to dig that out and find out, address those questions. Those questions may become conditions of the operation later. So during the commission's actual hearing, and the hearings don't necessarily only take place one night, they could be tabled and put aside and come back and all that kind of stuff. And so, but the commission will take those things into consideration, and potentially, if it goes forward, certain conditions will be made that may lessen those impacts or just make it easier for everybody to digest in going forward with it. And so with that said, I don't know if you want to start with
Yeah, I mean, are there any more questions about like the process with the planning department? I mean, that's what we know as best as we can for now.
Is there in some environmental analysis, if you don't comment up front, then you lose your opportunity at the end?
Right.
So I don't know if we're in that, I'm more familiar with the federal, but we want to make sure that we're commenting and stuff, so that at the end we still have status.
Well, and
comments
that's
and stuff.
just that little discrepancy in the narrative where we're seeing the word amendment versus revision, and Clint enlightening us that the revision means he may not have to do another secret, which means if that's true, then there won't be a comment period for that, I don't think. But there will be a comment period on the entire, and I know we have some planners in the room, so please chime in or stop me if I'm straying from what's real. But the project as a whole, and those questions may spur on some other environmental research. For CEQA itself, it may not alter or change if it truly addresses all these things that are already here, you know?
So I was wondering if Clint wanted to get up and take questions.
I'll take questions.
Um,
I mean, I want you guys to know that this is nothing, there's no change. Everything that I'm doing, you guys are
Little
here
louder,
about.
please.
Come up here, please.
I didn't come here to do this, I came here
I know, but we
to
got
back you
you.
guys up.
Probably got you.
Because I am a good man.
Welcome to the Grange.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the change in my permit is something I've been doing since 2000. There's going to be no change. The truck traffic will change because what happened last winter with the Fritz Creek slide, you know, was probably a 25, 30-year incident that probably never happened again. And I was put in a bad spot there. I made zero money. Everybody thinks, you know, I mean, I heard stuff in the community that I was just getting rich off them hauling material. Zero money. Caltrans paid me zero about that material.
How could we verify that?
Call Caltrans. And you know, and my phone rang from, you know, starting at 10 o'clock at night till 5 o'clock in the morning. People calling, and I don't blame them. And that's the only thing I can apologize to this community for, is that I told my closest neighbors, when they're ready to pull the plug, when they've had enough, let me know. And in Torrance, Arizona, my closest. And there was some gal that was calling me from up top, and I told her, just let me know. And,
I think that might have been me, and I actually never heard that from you.
well, and it
You
wasn't
never
you.
said you were
I told two people. I told two people. Edith Smith, she was getting the blunt of the blow because everything went right to that canyon and it was going to the furnace area. Did I tell you that, Mr. and Mrs. Furnace area? Did I tell you guys you could pull the plug on me anytime you wanted? Because I didn't care. You know, because what I ended up with, I mean, I would have pulled the plug. What I ended up with was the buffer that I told them in 1997 that we'd slowly build as we could between me and the community. And I don't know if you guys, you know, I know everybody looks at my pile and they think ching ching. Well, it's more of a noise buffer, you know, and the material, a gentleman asked me tonight what I'm going to do with the material. There is some good material in there we use. The majority of it is going to be reclamation over, you know, the pit when we're done. That pit has to be reclaimed.
What is reclamation?
Reclamation is putting it back, so.
Spreading it out?
Yep, so when you get at the State Department, I mean, you know, it's hard. I mean, if you go build a house, or you go try to do cannabis or whatever, and you have all these agencies come in there, times that by like 20. And that's what we deal with, especially with the rock pit on the river. I mean, I got people on me, you know, I'm monitored all the time. So what you do is when you get a pit, and this is probably my 6th pit, and they've all been reclamated and signed off, all the other ones but this one. So you have to go through a process, it takes about 1.5 years, and you go through all your environmental reports and everything, and they tell you what you're going to do. Excuse me. They tell, that's my granddaughter. They tell you what you're going to do. I mean, it's even though, you know, back then I didn't own the property, I do now, but, you know, I don't, you know, we don't have rights much anymore on our own property. So I'm recommending that pit back the way that the State Department of Conservation wants. And what it's going to do, it's 12 foot of, or 12 inches of dirt back over all the flats, and I got to plant I think there's some bigger pines and some pine trees and probably a lot of starfish. I mean, that's just,
Did you have a concrete plant there?
I've never had a ready mix plant there.
Okay. So you're going?
Yep,
Okay. That's-
well, I hope so.
ConAgra, is that a company? you work
Concrete
with?
aggregate products.
Okay, thank you. Is that your company or is that an outside company?
No, it's me.
Okay, so that's you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, but to get back to, you know, the main thing with the truck traffic and everything, and I do apologize for what happened here in the last 9 months, or it might have been longer than
Few
that.
years.
Was it 3 years?
It's been a few years. So
Yeah,
it's been
and I do
some time.
apologize, but I don't want, you know, I mean, I can only do so much, and yeah, I could have said no, but there's also people who live down there on their side of the slide, you know, and I feel, I mean, every time I see them, because I do work down there up in Sims Mountain Country, and you know, and you can't make everybody happy, but I know those people, they just think I'm great, because they got through that slide faster. There was nowhere to put that material, people don't understand that, you know, so, my regular truck traffic, people don't even notice this haul coming out of there. I mean, a lot of people ask me why we're not running, and we are running. But we might go 4 or 5 months, it might be 1 or 2 trucks, maybe, you know, 4 trucks, you know, 4 trips a piece. There might be days, I did the Lance Golf's job. We ran 27 trucks out of there. And we did that for a month and a half straight. My phone number's been open to everybody. I never got a complaint. The principal from the elementary school, who then was Katie, I told her, you let me know if, you know, these light trucks go through there slow. We got a lot of guys from out, you know, out of the area hauling material. I told her, you let me know if anything happens. So she came down to my scales one day, and she got the truck number and everything, and she told me that guy's driving too fast. So he got up on the scales, and stupid me, I told him that I fired him. I go, you're done. So he dumped his load of rock right on my scales. So I sit there for 4 hours, me and my guys with brooms and shovels, you know. I mean, he got me, but that's just, I mean, he was gone. You know, as you guys need to understand, I've been there all my life. I got 5 kids, they all went to schools here. I got grandkids, and I mean, I'm vested in this community too. And the last thing that I want is to be the monster, you know, for trying to put people to work and making a living. So, and I've always been open to the community on trying to work out problems.
How many people are you planning on putting to work locally?
Locally, right now I have 5 guys local.
And is that going to increase if your project goes through?
No, it's not going to, it's going to be the same.
It's going to be the same. And are those
They
all
might.
the truck drivers, or is it, what are the positions? 'Cause
They're
I
truck
saw,
drivers and operators.
okay,
So they're all your trucks that are moving and they were
I
contracted
own
before?
1 truck.
Okay, so if you're doing up to 24
We
hours
sub
a
them out.
day, they would be what?
There's owner operators around that have trucks, and we sub them
So
out.
one of the things that I encountered personally was that people weren't stopping, they were just pulling right out and they could see me coming. And I almost got
Yep.
hit a few
Yes.
times.
And this is what you need to do. First come to me.
Okay, yeah.
First just, I mean, that's people are welcome when that gate's open to come down and you got to stop at the scales, can't go any further, because M. Shaw and OSHA. Or call CHP. You get that is, you know what? There's a lot of CHPs that go down that road, and I guarantee you, they're good on, especially up at that school. At that school,
And it's, well, it's also emergency response. Sometimes there's vehicle traffic either responding to the fire station or coming back, and that's rare. We don't have a whole lot of calls, but that's also been an issue at different points
Yeah.
when we.
well, I think most of the people that my subs, you know, I did have the one guy that I fired, and he jumped his rock on the scales. But most of my guys are pretty, they're pretty with it, and they're respectful. And they see flashing red lights, they're gonna get out of the way.
Well, we respond without lights, is my point. We're driving down to get to the station to
Turn your
respond.
flashers on or something, no?
Yeah, we can do that, but sometimes I've had them on and I've almost been hit. 'Cause
I mean, that's just
they-
something that happens
Stop.
everywhere, and it's just,
Yeah, well,
You know,
and again, it's just a safety issue for me. It's like making sure that the people that you contract with or the owner-operators know they have to stop there, even if it's hard for them to stop there. They need to stop and look both ways.
they need to stop.
I've heard it from not just it wasn't only my own experience, but numerous other people. And they realized that was at a time when they were running like night and day, and there was.
It doesn't matter, they need to stop there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I haven't seen it. I've seen them, you know, they do a California stop.
Yeah, or they don't stop at the stop sign at the
Right.
bottom of the hill on Dutch Creek too. That was another thing, they would just roll through and
Right.
becomes more
Well,
dangerous.
Dutch Creek, I really, guys, my driver, but at my pit, I can control that.
Yeah.
And that's maybe something I need to do better.
So you mentioned different regulations for different industries like cannabis farmers and whatnot. And as a cannabis farmer, we deal with the State Water Board and the Department of Fish and Wildlife. And we're not allowed to farm in the floodplain. And it looks like your entire mining operation is in the floodplain.
Yeah.
And then also, we're supposed to have, I believe, a 300-foot buffer between us and the floodplain or the river itself.
Yeah, there's only 2 people on this river stem that have the riparian setback. And that's me and the Hoopaw tribe. Yeah, we were fortunate enough to get that setback.
And so how were you able to receive a setback of, what's your buffer between you and our wildlife?
I believe I'm from the edge of my riparian, they go to the center of the river, of the channel, and I believe I'm 250 feet.
To the center of the river?
Yeah, but from where my operation is, from there to where I'm quitting, I'm like 50 foot to the riparian.
50 foot?
Yeah,
And the State Water Board is
they're all over me, buddy.
they're accepting.
I got
Fish
Fish and Wildlife.
way that would be allowed to do that. Have to be.
Right, well, it's just, you know what, times have changed, you know, I mean, and I hear what you're saying, but that's just, that's a permit they granted,
So
and
you
believe
have
me,
just level
Grandfather.
based on when you signed up.
right, and believe me, I abide by my stuff down there because I'm watched.
What are some of the regulatory agencies that are monitoring your operations?
I can probably tell you who doesn't watch me. My biggest air quality is on me all the time.
Okay.
And we're in the North Coast Unified Air Quality. We're in North Coast Water. I got Fish and Game, Fish and Wildlife Service, and of course all my safety people are in there. Trinity County comes in once a year, and I pay them $800 to come in, and they spend about 5 minutes and they leave. You know, they have to do their annual inspections. They're the lead agency for the State Department of Conservation.
Who is?
Trinity County.
What are they called? Is Trinity County checking what?
Trinity County Plan Department, I guess. It's,
Land Department?
Planning Department.
Planning.
They're checking, what are they checking?
They're just coming in to make sure that everything's what it's supposed to be.
So it's not environmental services or it's not anybody else?
Well, everybody I said is pretty much environmental.
And 5 minutes is adequate
I mean-
to inspect your plant?
What's that?
And 5 minutes is adequate to inspect your plant?
Well, no, it's not. They don't look at my plant, they look at my land, because they're part of the reclamation. And what they do, and you know what, I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus. This county, these county employees have done the best they could with what they got. And now it's gone, it's horrible. I've lived there all my life, and it's just, my opinion of what I've grown up here is things are changing and not all good, and it's unfortunate that they're so understaffed. I think they're doing the best they can, but you also have to understand, I'm in an old mine tailing, so my reclamation's a lot simpler than, than other people in the area, it's pretty much a load out of tailings and process and leave. I'm not really out, I can only dig 20 feet deep. And that's it, and then I have to fill it back in.
Is there a certain amount of tonnage that you're limited to, or
It's varied.
per year or something?
It's varied. We tried to estimate in our permits, and it's just, supply and demand, it's really hard. The plan on the pit was 2020, but I could see it probably going into 2030.
I got a couple questions, if you don't mind. Terry Lyons, supervisor. You are currently gold mining, correct?
No.
What have you been doing since you got this permit?
We're making sand and gravel, chips for the roads, base rock.
So then what's the change that you're going to put in a cement plant?
The cement plant's really going to be the biggest change. There's never been a concrete plant there. I've been crushing rock down there since 2000. So there's no change. We're doing a revision. The county knew, and we were always going to revise it, but the things just go. And I decided I need to get this done. Because things are changing, and I have kids that are coming up into it. And
one of the things you mentioned is kind of like Mr. McIntosh brought up here, is that times are changing. We're not sure that that's an acceptable use for this area anymore.
And you know what, you're free to feel that way.
Well, no, the reason I'm asking questions is because I'm trying to figure out what the changes are that you're going to bring.
There's no change. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, there is a change.
The ready-mix plant, the ready-mix plant could be the only change. Everything else,
You just stated you're going to start making cement and doing a different process.
yes, so that's
That's a change.
What about
So-
expanding the mining area?
well, that's in my permit. We do 3 acres a year. And, or three, we're not, let me back that up. We do 3 acres at a time. As soon as we get done, I've been mining the same 3 acres for 13 years.
I thought you said you didn't mine though.
Okay, so when you take dirt out of the ground to grow tomatoes, or you take dirt out of the ground to make base rock, you're mining the earth. And I've been through that with safety inspectors because OSHA, they don't cover, parts of OSHA won't cover my mines, but MSHA, their Mine Safety Health Administration, anytime you're digging into the ground, they're all over it. So,
You're not mining any minerals, you're just making.
we're mining sand and gravel.
Okay.
So I'm wondering with your CEQA, because with the revision process, you may not have to do it, but it sounds like the rock crusher wasn't a part of the original CUP, and that it's here now, and it's been here. But so then I'm curious because my friends in Safe Alternatives for Forest and Environment, SAFE, have told me that there is known to be mercury and asbestos in our tailing piles. And so I'm really curious if you could elaborate about whether or not that is addressed in the CEQA.
I think I have an asbestos test, and there's not asbestos. And I think you're going to find mercury anywhere in Trinity County. You know, but I do know this. I put a lot of those tailings in Trinity River for the Bureau of Reclamation. And the first thing they did is test it for mercury. And they bought a lot of rock.
How many times did they test it for mercury?
So, I don't know if you guys, has anybody here remember Mr. Solvis?
Yes.
Okay, well, when Ed was in there, that's when him and Jim Smith, they had a big thing, you know, they were very serious on this river. So when the Bureau started coming in, they brought the guys in, the big wigs from Willows and Denver, Colorado. They probably did maybe 5 55-gallon barrels over an acre, you know? I mean, it's been a long time. But I kind of laughed at them because even if there was mercury in there, it would be down at the bottom. Because mercury is very heavy and you're in tailings, and those tailings are with the river, they're always moving, you know? And that mercury would, you know, and so I'll never reach it. Like,
So it was done once a long time ago?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
What years was that?
What's that?
What years was that?
That would have been back probably the mid-90s. I mean, I really don't recall.
A long
Yeah.
time ago.
So they don't allow us to dredge anymore. They're trying to change the rules on just a simple dredge based on this exact theory here. And I believe that environmentally that this is really, you're pressing a touchy situation here based on how our whole society, including the state, the water board, and everyone has moved to get people away from doing anything near these rivers, especially mining and those kind of things because of the sand and steelhead problem that we have and all the issues that we've gone through here with that. So, and then to bring in, to start making cement, and I know from driving by Eagle Rock, I see those plants making smoke and dust going everywhere, and that's way out in the middle of nowhere, kind of, and this is right in the middle of a residential neighborhood. And it really concerns me.
Close to the school.
Right, next to the school, all our kids are going here, and this really, really concerns me.
And you should,
There's
hey,
not enough environmental.
you should be concerned. I mean, and I'm concerned too. That's why being a school, I feel, and I invite you guys to go talk to them, that we're very good neighbors. And I will be very surprised if they give you guys a complaint about me. Check up.
It's not good neighbors, you might be the greatest guy in the world, but you're changing.
Well, to you, Mr. Mines, I'm not a good neighbor.
No,
To the
that's not
school,
what I'm
and that's the school. Being a school of good neighbors, meaning that I'm very respectful to the school, and they don't eat my dust.
I said I was concerned about your new operation and what the environmental impact would be on the school and the existing neighborhood. Never said anything I was thinking, I'm trying to learn, because I'm not sure, I'm not a rock crusher, I'm not a person who makes cement, I'm just telling you when I visibly drive by Eagle Rock, I see these machines doing that, and it's far away from everyone, and this is right in the middle of residential.
Well, then, this is what I suggest. If you ever go by any plant, you need to call air quality and report it. Because we're not allowed to have dust come out of our cement plants. you have big airbag houses up there. You have air vibrators in there, and big socks that are supposed to catch that dust. You know,
What
the
about
plant,
rock crusher?
the rock crusher, we gotta have water on it, man. I mean, it's just, we gotta,
But we're getting dust from that.
from my rock crusher.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
We live
noise
across the way.
all
Is it from my rock crusher or from truck traffic?
It's both.
Both.
Oh,
Right, you couldn't see the lines on the road
You
last
should be
year.
getting- I mean, there should be no dust.
Higher the dust, the higher the noise.
What do you see as a life of this?
You might.
We could go,
We want to know about ownership and RR, but okay, so we can open the.
John?
15, 20 years, it's all supply and demand.
He already answered.
I had a question about the batch plant. Why do we need 2 batch plants within 5 miles?
Like, yeah, 2 miles of each other.
I mean, you know, it's just competition, I guess. I mean, I don't know how to answer that. I mean, I've been doing this, my dad started, I've been doing this as a business for 45, 46 years.
And, you know, on that, do you intend to keep the business? Because there is a lot of people thinking that you're selling the business to someone else.
Yeah, well, I've sold all my holdings, but I'm still involved in the rock.
And what is your,
I am not involved in the ready mix.
what is the
I am-
future goal of your business there? What is the outcome and the outlook that you have?
Is to supply the communities and all the big projects with materials.
So to continue production there for an extended amount of time, there's no plan to shut down
But that-
operation at any point?
Well, that pit will run out of material. That's what I said.
And
You said
a
it's
time
supply and
frame.
demand. It's not about.
Yeah, it's a supply and
not running
demand,
out,
it's a supply and
so
demand deal.
So
I mean,
if there's always demand, that'll always be an option.
So if you're already for 20 years and you're expanding now, are you thinking it'll last another 20, 25,
but see,
30
that's what
years?
you guys need to realize something. We're not expanding. The pit's expanding by putting the ready mix plant in there. Everything else is the same amount of ready mix. So what we were doing, we were hauling all the sand and gravel into my plant in Weaverville and batching the ready mix out of there. Okay, but instead, we want to set the ready mix plant up down there.
So I heard that you closed that plant down in Weaverville.
I sold the
Okay,
property.
so that's not there, and so you're going to move all of the workings that were there here.
Yeah, just the ready mix.
Over there. That
Well,
To an industrial
You know
zone
what?
where there's not a
I'll tell
community.
you what, if I could, I would. But you know what? There's a really good source of rock down here, and it's just.
Right.
If you're gonna be running 27 trucks at a maximum, you're saying, how many runs per day per truck is?
Well, I don't know if that's gonna be a maximum.
Okay.
I mean, it could.
On an average,
I mean,
how many
on-
runs per
on
day
an-
per truck?
Well, actually, and I'm not being a politician here, truck traffic's gonna be a lot less if the ready mix plant's putting down there. Because see, now we're not hauling all that material into Weaverville. And that was probably 90% of our hauling, was hauling sand and 3/4 and 3/8 into Weaverville to keep that batch plant going. As far as my other sales, it's real sporadic because I never was one really to go after the local there. And I mean, I have a lot of contractors that just want to wear stuff all the time. But you only sell so much rock. I chase the big jobs.
Okay, say you had a maximum demand, and you were gonna be running 27 trucks, and you were gonna running them in and out. How
So
many trucks?
So you're saying that, say like if I had to get 27 loads to Weaverville, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying 27 trucks you're talking about running, and how many loads per truck per day?
Well, I use that number as to some of the trucks that were in there before. I think we were moving 3,500 tons a day with 27 trucks.
So how many runs per truck?
Per truck?
Yeah.
I think those guys were making,
4 or 5?
no, they were making more than that. They were going in the Lance Gulch. I think they were making about 7 loads a day.
Okay, so you're talking over 200 runs a day?
Yeah, well, for 35, so I do know for a fact, I'm not gonna sit here and, I'm not gonna sit here and BS you. So we did 3,500 tons out there one day. So if you divide that by 24, that's how many loads. And that was my most I ever put out of there. But I don't know how many they were probably hauling in 5 times that when they were hauling that slide material in there.
Yeah.
Because I know there was times that, I had to leave because my phone was ringing off took all night long. So, But I know some nights, shoot,
At
I
least
think they were putting in 600-700 loads in there.
So basically, you don't have a top limit to how
You
many
can
trucks
go as
you're
many
gonna
as you
run.
want.
I think we met our top limit with Lance Gulch.
What's it?
I think Lance Gulch was our top limit because that was everything I could do. I mean, it had me as a producer, as loading and weighing and getting trucks out of there. That was probably it.
Could we get you to say no to Caltrans?
You know what?
Could we get you to say no?
I mean, probably.
Probably.
Because the
Cooking?
thing is, you know,
Cookies, cake? Say no. Just say no.
me and Caltrans we're at this right now because, so I probably will say no to them because what I found out is after all this is they did pay other people to dump their materials.
They gave
You know.
you free.
Yeah, and you know, it's just all political. Me and Caltrans have never really got along that good, you know, because I
Shirley
deal
would
with a
like
lot
to
of-
say something.
Yeah, I live next door to Kathy and Mike, and my property used to be the mining camp where there's storage stuff up there and ate their lunch. And we hauled off a flatbed truckload of mercury barrels.
Yeah.
And so there's lots of mercury in the river and it's,
And you know what, that's why I didn't disagree with that. I know that mercury wasn't found in my pit, neither was asbestos. And if the mercury was in my pit though, it's not gonna be where I'm mining, it's gonna be down.
But you don't know that for certain because it
Well,
hasn't really been tested efficiently.
have they checked
Right.
the dust?
What's that?
Have they checked the dust?
No, but they're welcome to. I mean, I'm not.
They should, because I've lived here for 40 years and I've been counting the cancer deaths.
Yeah.
Dutch Creek down to Big Bar,
Yes.
and I counted 65 before I quit. I got depressed and quit counting.
Yeah, no, mercury's huge in this country. I just sold a piece of property right above Eagle Rock, up there where the old Grange mine was, where the mining camp was and everything. And I tell you what, we found some raw mercury up there.
We also have that arsenic in all of
Right.
California.
You know, yeah, I don't know if we have it in those tailings. When we first got this permit, when Jim Smith helped me do this, that was one of the big things right here in this room was arsenic. And I got to disagree with arsenic. I'm not saying it's not around here, but it's not in here.
It's not a question, it's just kind of a comment, just to put some things into perspective. I know, you know, this is your investment and you work here and you have a lot invested in this. We live, you know, down Singer Road, it's probably 3,000 feet away, but it's the same ridge line that you look at is that we look at. And it's kind of like a coliseum where noise just bounces. Someone shoots a gun, I don't know if it's downriver or upriver because it just got. So we can hear it very loud 3,000 feet away. I have friends that live up on Lake Road, up on the lake, and they've got a straight view of you, and they can hear it as well. And it disturbs our quality of life. And so this is, you know, this is your investment, this is your business, and we respect that. But this is also our quality of life, our peace of mind when we got into the mountains for peace and quiet. And even if we're not 300 feet away, even if we're 10 times that or 50 times that, we're still hearing it very loud. And I don't know if there's anybody here from Cooper's Bar, but I'm assuming that that same ridge can be, you can hear it all the way down there as
That comes
well.
all the way down Sky Ridge too. He hears the music.
So as you can see, like, it affects more than just this 300 feet. I mean, it's affecting.
No, I hear you. I
it's
live
affecting a lot of
over a
people.
mile from the mill in Weaverville.
Right.
If the winch is right, I can hear them talk.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you know what? You guys, you do need to understand something. You live in a county. I know times are changing, but this county was used to working. People work. We had industry, you know, and that doesn't mean that we have to go out and the people that are doing industry have to be nuisance and disrespectful. And I'm not. I've always worked with my communities and they've done what I could.
Did you
Like
buy
with the
your-
dust, the people are complaining about the dust. You know, you're right. There should be zero dust.
Like
You
what,
know,
what
if
kind
it
of
was
noise,
me operating, that should be on me. Huh?
what kind of noise abatement do you see happening in the plant? I mean, you've done a lot of times.
It's going to be, it's minus the night traffic, which you know, that night traffic, I can tell you, the night traffic will never happen as long as I own that pit ever again.
But you don't own the pit anymore. You just sold it.
Well, but no, I still have the rights to it.
But you sold it.
The mining rights?
I have the rights of what's going on there.
But does, so as long as you have the rights to it, you won't allow
Right,
that?
so if Caltrans wants stuff material down there, they gotta talk to me.
Okay.
I mean, I don't wanna get into my personal business stuff I have,
Right.
but I'm not one that's gonna sit here and tell you guys I'm gonna do something, just to try to persuade you one way or the other. I'm telling you what it is. That's why I can't answer your, I can't say no, there's not gonna be more than 27 truck. I mean, I'm not gonna do that.
I just want to back up just a little bit. So you were saying you live next to the mill. Did you buy your property after the mill was in
My
place?
first house was actually about 1,500 feet from the mill.
So it
And I
already
built that.
existed, right?
My house,
The mill.
the mill, yeah,
So you bought that land knowing that you're going to be living next to that.
yeah.
Okay. I don't know if that's the case for most of the
Okay,
people.
so
in this room.
how many people have lived here longer than 15 years?
67.
So about well, not even
So
half.
we
Under
didn't
half.
have a choice.
Right.
It's impeding on our
But,
quality of life.
and you know what, I totally respect it. Like I said, I'm not here to try to twist you guys around, change it. I'm just here because I want you to know, that I do what I can with the communities, to not be as much of a nuisance as I can. I can only do so much. But industry, sadly to say, is leaving Trinity County, but it's not going to leave down here if I can make it happen. And I still believe in supplying the area with good material. That is very good material down there. It's some of the best in the western states. And
So even if everyone in this community is against what's going on there, you feel like you would still move forward?
if everybody in this community came to me with legitimate reasons, I would really look into it, definitely. So noise, I'm sorry for the noise. I mean, there's nothing we can do. The noise on the highway, going down Highway 299, from all you people from say up to here, all the way down to Cooper Horse Estates, is probably louder than my kid.
No, it's definitely
Well,
not.
of
It
course
doesn't
you're gonna
even
say
compare.
that. But I've heard that from several people down there.
Well, and one thing I would love for you to
How do you
clear up.
guys think I knew about this meeting?
What's the legit?
Facebook.
I had calls. I had probably 8 calls from people that live further down, way down from the furnace areas, warning me that you need to be there to present yourself.
And we're very grateful that you're here. And so one thing that I asked him before, if anybody has seen the planning document, and one thing that I find super egregious because I'm pretty familiar with some of our zoning stuff, is that they have you labeled as RR5. This kind of activity is nowhere mentioned in it, not even the CUP process, but you had said it was industrial.
You can pick that up with the county.
Right, and so when you bought it, was it industrial? You've never done a rezone. It's when you bought it back in before 97, I assume, right? That it was listed as industrial, and they still haven't updated it on the parcel viewer and their documents.
As far as I know, I mean, that's,
Okay.
I've never even looked into it, because when I bought it, it was industrial, and I don't see why it would change.
So do you have set hours so that, because that.
Yeah, okay, so my hours are, I think my hours, I need to look at my.
It says it's from
I think
7 a.m. to
6 p.m. with all rock crushing stopping at 4 p.m., I believe.
Yeah, and you know what?
That sounds reasonable,
Well, yeah, but you know what, though, to be honest with you, there's times where we run from 8 o'clock till like 1 o'clock. There's also times we run on the weekends, we run on holidays. But I've always called the planning department if there's a slide where I get called and it's an emergency, they let us do the emergency work. And
great, on all
for,
holidays.
I just want to say,
see, I mean, I'm not, there's been times we ran on holidays, I'm not gonna.
Please hear from Broward.
You know that, don't you, Mike?
I want to address a couple more questions, and then I think it'd be really important for us as a community to share how this has impacted us, and for Clint to hear that.
Well, I don't need to hear, I
and
know the impact, I mean.
I don't know if you do.
Yeah, I do. I don't need to hear that.
John in the back.
Yeah, Clint, I want to say thanks for coming and protecting yourself. I think it is, and offering to address our concerns. And I think it is admirable that you're trying to actually function as a business and provide some jobs and economic stimulus in an environmentally responsible way. Super cool how you took that huge pile of material from the French Creek slide and got our highway open. That's an asset to the community. But I'm hoping you can talk in detail. Maybe you can currently mitigate dust. I think dust is the biggest issue. It's directly upwind of
It's
tornado.
not.
From our school. And it's those fines that fit through the socks.
You know, yes, I mean, yeah, there's ways to mitigate dust.
So please, talk in detail about dust mitigation.
Well, so the dust mitigation has to be coming from the road. It's got to be coming from my hallway. Yeah, I mean, I can, you know.
There's also rocks in the roads. We paid over $500 in damage to getting the tire and rim because of all the rocks that fall out of the truck last year. My husband called.
Was that during the slide and
That
everything?
was during the slide, and he left a free message, never got a call
Right.
back. I mean,
Right.
the insurance got paid for, but
See,
it's-
you know, you can still turn that into Caltrans. Caltrans should be covering all that. You see, we got into it. I got into that's when me and Caltrans butted heads because they had a water truck and a sweeper out there cleaning that road. And then somebody come around that corner because it was freezing, it was solid ice. So I told the guy, I go, hey, when it's freezing, we need to clean that road. You need to wait and do it later on. I mean, we got to do something. And so then they have to wash the tires of the trucks, and that just made matters worse. And so the last I saw on that, they were running a dry sweeper on it, which was just turning everything into mud, you know. But I had a lot of people call, and I told them to call Caltrans, and I think a lot of people got reimbursed for damage and stuff, because there was a lot of damage.
Do you do anything to mitigate dust when loading trucks or trucks?
Yeah, we're supposed to keep that road water. It's supposed to be zero dust. And that's.
We all know that's not the case. I'm talking about in your actual operations on site.
I don't have dust coming off my plants. My big plant's wet. It's wet. It's a wash plant. And my crusher sits right next to it, and we bombard it with water.
Is it
I mean,
conveyor
I'm not, and there might
loaded
be.
or dozer loaded?
What's that?
Is it conveyor loaded or dozer?
Excavator. We do everything with excavator.
Okay, how do you keep the dust down from when you're loading from the excavator into the...
You understand we're on the river, right?
I do.
We dig 15 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, so we go 15 foot down. So the advantage to me of that is the material's wet. Everything's wet. We dig, we let it set, and when it gets to about an optimum moisture, we run it. So, you know, if you run it too wet, then it just bombards, you know, buries your machine. I'm not going to sit here and tell you we haven't had dust, but I will sit here and tell you that, you know, I mean, I need to get a better control on the dust, and if I'm not always there and there's dust, then I mean, there's somewhere you guys need to notify me so I can get on it because.
Please tell us your legitimate, what you will accept from us as legitimate. You said earlier, if they're legitimate complaints or reasons.
Legitimate concerns.
Legitimate concerns?
All your concerns are legitimate. I mean, I can only do what I can do, and that is be respectful, and there should be no dust. I mean, if there's dust, then I need to pave the road coming out of there, or oil it or something, because my dust is coming from that road.
Okay.
Okay.
What else is a legitimate concern that we can present to you?
Anything that you feel is legitimate to you. The things I can take care of, I will.
Can I bring something up that hasn't been mentioned yet? And honestly, in comparison to noise, air pollution, and all the other concerns, it seems minuscule. But would you be willing to adjust your hours based on, you know, I commute to Weaverville, and the thought of all these trucks being on the road, I'm going to already have to leave my house 20 minutes early. Is it going to have to be 30 minutes plus dropping my kids off at school? So, you know, 7 a.m., that's prime time to leave for work if you're commuting, get your kids to school. So I think the timing alone can really impact people. I mean, we got one way out of here.
I can't control that part of it.
So you would not be able to adjust your
Well,
hours?
the reason this is why I can't is because I can't control when, as long as I'm in my hours of operation, you know, I can't control people off when they material and stuff. Unless I change, no, I'm not going to change, I mean, I'm on slim hours of operation.
So you couldn't adjust?
I mean, honestly, did you guys, I want you guys to sit here and tell me, did you guys have heard me run 10, 12 hours a day down there? Okay, when? So tell me right now the last time you heard me run 10, 12 hours a day.
Well, it was when you were last summer, it was all summer long, 24 hours a
When
day.
Caltrans was in there?
Yeah.
And also,
Yeah,
you know,
and I apologize, I will apologize for that, but that wasn't me.
So-
Before the Caltrans, the slide stuff happened, and you guys, I'm being honest with you guys, you tell me how much that plant, what we did down there impacted you.
Clint, the noise that comes off of your site there, even in the daytime, has impacted my quality of life to the point where I am considering selling the parcel of land that I grew up on, that my parents built and I grew up, because it is affecting me that much. I cannot be in my garden without headphones on with music, without hearing the noise above that.
Where do you live? You live up on the ridge?
I'm just up the hill a little bit, across the street from you. I hear it inside my house. I have to raise my voice when I'm inside my house and my windows
So do you hear
shut.
the trucks get on the
It
highway?
could be 12 p.m. It could be, back last summer, it could have been 4 a.m. That's my neighbor.
Yeah.
That's how she has to sleep. I wake up to the sound of the trucks turning on.
Well, and I know, last summer, because we were going to all these meetings, the board and at the planning commission, and Director Tippett had said, the emergency's over. And we were like, woohoo! And the next meeting, I came to, and hopefully you can clear this portion up as far as when they claim an emergency is over versus when they actually stopped operating, because I came to public comment and said, why is this still operating at 10:30 at night? I'm still hearing it. I'm still seeing the floodplain. And then the flood lights onto my neighbor's pasture into my front yard. And then Director Tippett said, I'll check into it. And he said that he said that he checked in with you and that you had spoken to me and it was okay. And I know that didn't happen, but I'm not real sure if, like in your plan, is there an emergency plan if you do go forward with Caltrans that will see emergency hours, or how long after they declare the emergencies over do those operations cease?
I think what happened was I think about 20,000 more tons of that slide came down, is what happened. And I'm not going to sit here and bash anybody, but if you really want to know what's going on with the Caltrans job, call Caltrans. Don't listen to anybody from the county. Call Caltrans direct. They should have a public relations person that usually is right on it.
So how is it that they use that area to process material? Was that a permission? Did you have to give them permission to use that site?
They didn't process, they just dumped there.
So, but how are they using that site? Do they just let themselves in and just use it? Or do you work with them and allow that?
I don't follow you. You mean when they held in all the material?
Why are Caltrans using that land?
Do you mean for the slide material?
Yeah.
For that? Because they wanted a place to dump material.
Okay, so did they have to get permission from you to do that?
Yes, they did.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
So you don't have control over what Caltrans does, even though...
Oh, I can keep them off my property.
Okay, so...
But the thing is, no, I can keep them off my property. No, I'm not gonna sit here if like this canyon right here, right across the street there from the school, they're on the highway. That's gonna come down. So they can't push it in the river. They gotta get rid of it somewhere. If they don't have a place to dump it, and there's people that need to get through, I'd probably let them dump in there again. And it's not about, if they could have fit all that material in the Burnt Ranch dump and then up there by Cox Bar, there would have been no material in there. And I told them. So they made 2 spots down there and they started dumping down there and then it failed on them. A bunch of that stuff off that slide came from the Cox Bar School because it's Caltrans. They went in there and did some bad engineering. So
most of us understood that. We all need that highway for livelihood and it's a thoroughfare. We all understand that, and I think we took it, we handled it, for that period of time, but we're asking, so you will continue. If you don't limit any of the things that Caltrans is doing, and we have to address all of our concerns through Caltrans, and they're not getting addressed.
This is what I've learned about
this.
this.
Seized.
I'll back up. So this is the way I would handle it. If Caltrans came to me again and said they wanted to do this, what I would probably do is I'd probably call the old elementary school. And I would tell Caltrans, I'll tell you what, if you want to dump in there, every load's going to go over the scales, and you can pay the Junction City School or fire department or something $3 a ton or something like that. and get the community, the local stuff, the little stuff those guys have dumped in there since forever.
I mean, it impacted strange little things like even the lines on the road that nobody's come to fix, you know, the culverts, everything was impacted by it and none of it was fixed. Like people drive down the middle of the road and they're like, I don't know what's happening.
Don't hold that against me. I mean, that's not me.
Well, you gave them
But you gave them permission to use that.
permission, so you're the one holding the bag. So you're the only one that can say yes, dump it, or no, don't.
So people down in Sawyer area could be having the same talk we're having right now. This could all be changed. A bunch of you guys might need to get the well cracked. But instead, you got to drive clear down through Fortuna and hit another slide.
I don't think that's what we're talking
Well,
about.
no, I'm trying to explain something to you. Somebody else can give you permission down there. I mean, I feel bad and I apologize to you guys for the disturbance, the nuisance, the noise that slide came in there. But you know what? It helped a lot of people out. I made $0 off that. It wasn't a money thing.
We didn't make anything either off of it.
But Clint,
That's why.
but I think Clint already said that he would not accept that much material again.
Okay, so in this amended proposal, it talks about Caltrans. So you would accept material.
Well, because every year the local Caltrans signs an agreement with me. They probably dump they maybe dump, I don't know, 10, 15 loads a month off the road. That's what that refers to.
So why didn't you have Caltrans dump at your site in Weaverville where it was the most appropriate land use area?
If I would have had the room, I would have. You bet. I would have took every bit of that rock right into Weaverville if I would have had the room. I didn't have the room. It's 110 acres versus 7 acres. I mean, you know, I'm a logical guy and I'll do what I can, guys, but you know, just like everybody here has their way of making livings, okay? And everybody wants to work, I support it. I don't complain about smelling marijuana. I don't complain about people who don't do nothing. And people complain about me, and I'll do what I can to fix it. You know, that's all I can do. I go, but people want to complain about my dust, they have all the right to it, and I need to fix it.
What about the noise?
The noise, if I keep it under the decibel that I'm supposed to, and I have to, then I can't do nothing about the noise.
Is there anything you can do to buffer the noise?
We do. We run rubber screens. That crusher's been in there, you know, I think it's been like 19 years I've crushed it, you know.
Same crusher.
And people didn't even know crusher was down there.
How are you measuring this?
No, we didn't.
So MSHA comes in twice a year and they put little gauges on us inside of our equipment and the guys on the plants and
so that is being monitored on a regular basis.
well, when they monitor it, right?
And so Trinity County takes the lead, but do they tell the other agencies when they think something's off, like air quality? Because I know that people have tried to call air quality on spewing all the stuff out, and they kind of are like, oh, we can't get out there, and yeah, it's bad. Take pictures and send them, and then nobody still comes out.
Right.
So,
you guys see dust coming off that down there? Take a picture. I mean,
well, I mean, my point is, so you don't have like regular monitoring going on for these different things. It's just when they kind of do their inspections and do those different agencies come out and do inspections?
Yeah, they do. They don't tell you when, but we see them probably half a dozen times a year.
Okay.
They're not going to call and tell you. You know, they just
Well,
show.
yeah, of course.
You know, they want to catch you.
I just was trying to understand when you said Trinity County was the lead.
But they're just the lead on. They're just the lead on my reclamation.
Okay, all right, on the reclamation.
Just make sure I'm in my guidelines and my use permit.
North Coast Water Quality, they come and inspect you, air quality comes in, checks out everything, and they come up to a dozen times a year, you said?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? I'm going to ask you something personally. You would say you live in Weaverville. Would you move next to your own plant?
I own a piece of property right across the street, and I'm thinking about building a log cabin up there.
You're thinking about it.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to ask is, you put that rock crusher in 1997, is that?
2000.
2000, okay. So was that done with environmental regulations of that era, or has that been updated?
I can't answer. I don't know. I don't know what the environment. I mean, with the rock crusher, of course, there's noise. You know, and I have to. The noise level's probably been in since 1974. You know, when they brought MSHA and OSHA in this industry. So yeah, no, everything should be up to standards. I mean, stuff does change though. So
here's another concern that came, you said you're watering everything down. You're right by the river. Most all of us get our water from, as groundwater. So you're washing that particulate matter and the minerals, the arsenic or the mercury, into our water system because you're trying to keep the dust down. So you're washing off the machinery, washing off the
Do you pull directly right out of Trinity River?
I do not, but I do have.
So,
we are on a aquifer that is like a bypass.
Hydrologically
from the river.
connected.
So
Right,
we can
as
get
probably
water.
everybody is. And no, I don't, the way, so I have sediment ponds down there to catch my sediment. And then I gotta dig it out. And, I don't really think there's any harm,
And I have one other concern. During the fire, all of us that live downriver, it was a big reality check for us that this is our only way out. And it concerns me if there's trucks or whatever in any kind of emergency system, that you are impacting our only way out.
Right, that would concern me too. And hopefully, just like we did, we shut down. And after that, they barricaded off the road anyway. We couldn't work for 3 weeks. So they wouldn't let us in or out. But as the people that work for me, I can speak for them. If there's an emergency or anywhere, believe me, we're all, like I said, we've all lived here, we've raised families here, and we're going to do the best we can to be good neighbors.
Clint, I just wanted to ask you, in expanding your permit, from what you've shared with us, that it seems like the hours of operation, they've been kind of cyclical depending on the contracts you have. With putting the concrete plant, they're relocating that from Weaverville to there. You have in the permits, 6 days a week, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., 4 p.m. the rock crushing ends. And obviously those are the outer limits of how you can operate. But what is your business plan right now for the expansion, and how many of those hours do you plan to, or do you envision your company working if the permit is granted?
Probably the same what they are. I think I'm 7-4 for a rock crusher?
Yeah, I think so.
So
Yeah,
7 to
it's
4?
supposed to cease by 4 and everything done at 6.
Monday through Friday, not weekends or holidays.
So that's 9 hours. I would like to run that crusher at least 8 hours a day. Like either start an hour later or end an hour later.
So,
I would do something like that. 8 hours a day is all we do.
So the neighbors to this land have to listen to a rock crusher 8 hours a day. That's what you're doing to this community.
Well, we should have probably had this meeting like 17 years ago that's...
Yeah.
But to be fair, the rock crusher wasn't included in the proposal. So I know that, like, I'll say that...
Paper doesn't mean it wasn't there. That's all I'm trying to say is, let's be real.
Well, public.
Yeah, but people didn't know.
I want to work with the
information.
community.
Right.
So but what I'm trying to tell you guys is, with exception of the batch plant, that's going to be a change. Nothing is changing down there. Everything's going to be the same.
Okay, I'm going forward with the proposal, the Congress proposal, and it's saying that the only piece of equipment you're permitted to use is a screen, and it says that the addendum includes the rock crusher and the concrete batch plant. So the rock crusher is not included in the past permit.
It's not permitted, yeah.
Exactly.
So is that legal?
And let's be honest, the county has been dysfunctional. The county
but the county was aware of it
in the past few years, and so now you want to get legit on the books with this proposal, even though you've been grandfathered in because you've been doing it for 17 years. And so that's where the flack from the community is coming in, says we really don't want this noise and dust and all of the other negativities to be hitting us. So that's where the government process hopefully will take its due course, and people will be able to talk to their representatives and the Colleen, and the county will make the decision that's best for the county.
that's well spoken.
Would you explain, here's not urban, explain, outside of your being able to make a living, which we respect, what benefit is your operation to the county now, and what benefit will it be later?
That aggregate down there is probably some of the best rock in the western United States. It's freeze-thaw. You won't find better rock than that for concrete, for ready mix. That's one of the reasons why we probably poured 95% of the bridges from all the way over in Higham Palm to Scott Mountain. You know, the only other concrete on bridges, you know, it's come out of Red Arc. That area down there is, it's awesome. It's good stuff.
So your benefit to the community is that you provide cement and rock?
Well, and probably, so we quit selling ready mix when I owned that place. I started whittling myself out of ready mix probably like middle of last summer. Up to then, we were probably doing 95% of the ready mix around here for all local contractors. And I think it's a pretty good benefit when you get called at 4 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday to see if they can get 4 yards of concrete and we get up and do it. You know, but that's one of the reasons why I'm not doing it anymore.
Well, I know I used to have people bringing cement to me in a big truck, and I want that available to me.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, it's good material down there. You know, and we live in a county full of rock, but you can't get to it. You know, and this is one of the few places. In my other place I had, you know, I gave up on it and sold it. You know, but I'm not just ready to give up on this one yet.
So the dust that's floating in the air, is that been tested for asbestos?
You know what? I need to back up on this asbestos. I don't. So yeah, when they do a rock dip, they test for everything. But I really doubt. I've been talking. I doubt if they did an asbestos test on this down here because it's river tailings. I know my other pit was tested for asbestos up on top of the hill.
So how can you verify that there's no asbestos in the air that's floating towards a K through 8 school downwind? How can we do that?
Well, you need to test it. I mean, I totally agree with you.
I'll bring my test kit out there. I mean, what I'm legitimately asking, because my daughter's going to be going there, we're about to build a house. My grandfather died of asbestos, so I got to watch him wither away. And if my daughter catches something like that from a plant, I'll take things in my own hands. So I want to make sure that no kids get asbestos. As a teacher, do you see dust or anything like that returning to school?
Well,
From the plant?
No, have you seen dust up there from the white plant?
Well, what I can say is during like all the operations, I think Naomi already mentioned it, you can't see the lines on the road. So it's hard to evaluate.
Truck traffic.
Yeah, so it's hard to evaluate how much is actually hitting the school,
Well,
you know.
That's still coming from the plant. I mean, I'm not trying to be.
Surface in your home or in your place.
So I
you know, the asbestos, I would 100% say no.
Sir, who would I go to? I'm not familiar. Who would I go to have someone go out to your plant and test the soil, the dust for asbestos? I'm legitimately concerned on my.
Probably a geotech service like they're in Reading. There's some guys. Give me your name and your number. I'll make some calls and
would you
if I have him come over here and test that, I'll call you and you can go with him and see.
Would you feel comfortable with your kids? So you have
No,
5 kids.
no, asbestos is bad shit.
So would you feel comfortable with your kids going to that school if they fit within that K through 8?
Hell yeah. My kids.
Junction City School?
You bet. I put my kids in that school.
I'll give you my information because I really, that's my concern.
Would you be willing to let outside people, organizations test? So you're offering to organize?
No, but I mean, are you a?
Well, what if our
certified
community
tester?
raised money to hire a professional to get that
I
information
will
for
pay
ourselves?
for a lab. You guys can pick the lab, so you don't think, you know. So you don't know me, Greg. You don't know me at all. I'm honest. If I tell you I'm going to do something, if there's asbestos in that rock, I'm 100% for sure it's not. This piece of type of rock that it is. Asbestos isn't in that rock.
But you don't know that for sure.
Testing.
So you're giving these really definitive claims, but you don't know that for sure because
it's just the industry of the type of it's river rock. I mean, it's not
no serpentine in it.
But you
it's not a serpentine. It's you know, if the worst.
There's serpentine in Tailing
Where'd
Pass.
it come from?
There's serpentine all around here, naturally. I mean, it's naturally all around here.
So where did the serpentine come from in that rock?
Excuse me, my understanding of the proposal is that the Caltrans slide stuff is a new feature of your business. Is that true?
Is what?
That there's something, the Caltrans mudslides or landslides is part of this permitting process.
No, that's the local calculator. That has nothing to do with the French Creek slide. And Kathleen needs to. She needs to modify that.
But that's what that big pile is, right?
Yeah, no, that came off of that French Creek slide.
Right.
So what you're seeing in there is the local crew here in Weaverville. There's various agreements they have around, Eagle Rock has one that people have. If they have a slide, they come over and dump the material there.
Right. Is that new? Is that something?
That's something that I've done that for 45 years. They dump there in Weaverville. They dump on us in there all the time before I sold them.
Well, that's what I'm concerned about is that.
Huh?
I'm not concerned, well, I'm concerned about the whole project. But I'm concerned that there is a rock being taken from the slide. Because there's serpentine. I know that
Well, Caltrans was supposed to test all that rock, and it came back negative.
passing lane to the east of Weaverville over there by Browns Creek, that
Definitely.
rock had asbestos.
So I took on a bunch of that rock in there, and so this is what the California State Air Resource Board made us do with that rock. We could sell it as riprap. We could not crush it, and we could sort it, but we couldn't grind it. And then when they hauled all that riprap out, we had to water it down.
Well, have you tested what that big pile was in there?
No, Caltrans tested it.
Okay, and what did they find?
There's no asbestos in it. That's what I got from them.
And are you allowed to just have that pile there open and without any kind of covering, or?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll get verification of this as a process goes on. But that's my big concern.
My concern is that we
Personally,
can't
I'm much
form a
more
community
concerned about the
without,
asphalt.
this sort of oversight duality happening.
Yeah.
So that's just information that we can share stuff with them. Right. So we need to make sure to have time. Like,
What is that?
we all have concerns.
I think there's residential around me. I have a piece of property across the street. It's residential.
Right, that's fine. What we want. Okay.
As far as I know, it's not. She's telling me it is.
It's still zoned residential, but the planning department has been dysfunctional.
And the land use is rural residential. And the land use for rural residential doesn't allow industrial, so.
We're in the middle of it.
So how do we deal with this?
Good question. That's why we're here.
It's really interesting with the land uses because you have your underlying land use that one of our supervisors likes to say, it's like paint by number. You look at the county, it's whoosh, 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 and then you have the zoning on top of that. The zoning guides all decision making, but the land use can be flexible, but you must be consistent, right? The land use is rural residential. I have this piece of paper from our general plan that says that mining and industrial is not
Well,
allowed.
and I'll tell you what, about 25 years ago, they really screwed up, didn't they?
And then it's in the paperwork is the biggest thing, right? We're all going on what we're seeing in this paperwork, and it's really concerning. So hopefully there'll be a revision to the paperwork that'll shore that up, Because you can see too on, you're surrounded by RR 2.5 and RR 5 on almost every side for miles.
For sure.
Okay, so while we have this pause for the moment, it's about 7:20.
So the zoning on that, in the general plan, is open space.
I know on the back side of it is.
I'm not going to argue. I'm just getting, so in my permit, this is what back then, they had it zoned as open space.
Okay, just so while we're figuring this out, one of my concerns about what we accomplished here today, it's been really great to hear everyone's concerns. I think that it's important to inform one another a little more about some of the stuff that we know how to plug in and what action we can take. I also want to know what we want as a community so that we can move forward. It's been really, really nice to have Clean here. I think it's answered a lot of questions. I think you would have had a lot of questions still if you hadn't come. So it's helped clarify a lot for many of us, I'm sure. But I really want to make sure that we know what we can all do as a community from here. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, just the action we can take from here. We've got this planning document that was put out can be commented on, and June 7th is the deadline that they've set just for this phase. In fact, Liz, can you just speak to this part of the process? And
Right. So, as I said earlier, it's a long process, and right now, it's not really at the formal public comment, so to speak, section. That will be coming. Depending on how you feel, there's a lot to be said for, you know, like right now having this discourse and having our questions answered and putting those out there to the planning department so that those are the things they can research, because according to the narrative we have, you know, between the narrative and what Clint is telling us, there's big disparate, you know, like it's very different information. And even when I spoke to Colleen this morning, she wasn't quite sure. She didn't have access to the original CUP. She hopes to have it next week. We hope to get a copy of it and see exactly, you know, how things are. And so at any rate, like I said earlier, I would encourage you all to put your questions, your comments, and your concerns as specific, when you're talking about your impacts, as specific as possible, so that while she and her staff is doing all this research, and while they are, because as Clint mentioned, they're the lead agency, they're interfacing with all the other agencies. So they're the ones that are going to be able to take your concerns and have them addressed, take your questions and fish out those answers. And if they don't have them, then it might be too late later to really get that due diligence done. Love Madonna. But yeah, so I would encourage you all to write in as soon as possible and keep that discourse going. Keep the correspondence with them. Be a pest. I've been a pest for 2 years and I've gotten a lot of answers. And most of the people in our planning department, yes, we're understaffed, we're under-resourced, but they're doing the best they can. They want to do a good job and they want to get that good information for you. Colleen O'Sullivan's been there, I think, for well over 20 years. She left for a while, she came back. John Jelisich is also a senior planner that's kind of comes in when we need him and is gone, but he has 29 years of experience. So when we hear, you know, our new folks that are either in supervisorial positions, planning positions and things, they don't necessarily have that same history, but we have folks that are working on this that really truly do, and they'll know the right things to do if we give our input. So I encourage you all to do that, and you can turn them in by email. If you got one of these papers, her email is on there. It's everybody in the county is pretty much the same email. It is the first letter of their first name, their last name at trinitycounty.org. So it's COSullivan@trinitycounty.org. You can also call her. Like I said, I called her this morning. She's extension number 5. She picked up the phone. She gave me as much time as she could. So I encourage you all to just exhaust that resource as much as you possibly can, so that whatever happens, we're all well aware and there's no unanswered questions.
And as long as we signed up here, you'll be keeping us in contact.
Yeah, anything that we find out and anything going forward, the public hearings and or any other, you know, we may feel a need to come back together as a community, you know, have a form letter if that's the case. I know that we have a lot of elders in our community that aren't able to be here tonight, you know, but we're all in contact with those folks and they may have something to say and we may want to get the word out to them and, you know, facilitate them to have a say as well. So yes, we're going to do our best to keep everybody posted.
By the way, Liz, how many days did you know that we're having a meeting tonight? This is like 2 days, right?
2 days. And I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed with this community.
so that's how many people were brought together with that short of notice, because this issue is that paramount, I think, in my opinion. So it's a small community, and imagine if we organize more.
Have you had to spend any money so far to make tonight happen? Should we be giving you any money to support your efforts?
No, the Grange is an incredible community resource. And the people who keep the Grange.
$1,000.
Yes.
Right? We do have a building fund and it needs money.
We do need to rebuild the bathrooms and yeah, there's some repairs that need to happen.
Right.
Are there any more questions? How you can plug in? How do you can stay connected.
I wanted to thank you for the post office.
Oh, good.
That's
Good.
Martha.
Yeah, excellent. I'm glad that you guys saw that.
Well, thank you, Liz and Amanda.
Thank you. You're welcome.